Hi there, welcome back to the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina.annunziato. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully we will not be interrupted by a bunch of fat, ugly pigeons today, but I just want to let you know I have submitted this cast to iTunes and I have not quite heard back yet, so we shall see if they accept it. I'm also trying to submit it to Spotify in the coming days if iTunes doesn't seem to work, but if you have any suggestions on where else to put it, please let me know. I'm all ears. I've purchased a Blueberry account and that is what is helping me get it on the RSS feed. I don't know the words, but it's all good. We're starting out 2019 with more musings, and I thank you so much for sticking with me. So with that, sit back and relax for the Ginescast number 34, Untitled and Unsure. This year is already starting out kind of dumb. It is an odd year. 2019, after all, is an odd number. Maybe that's it. What I know is that there's some kind of weird imbalance taking place lately. It all kind of started when the Democrats regained control of the House, and ever since then, I haven't actually heard a single thing about any congressional Republicans. Like, I'm not even sure they exist anymore. There's a weird vibe that's dominating the news cycle, I think. We're hailing people who haven't really done anything yet, and we're kind of speculating on everyone's next move. If a day goes by that I don't see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's face on screen or hear her nasally voice, I will be a very happy little lady. But that's just it. News outlets are calling her a, quote, rising star, although she's been a congresswoman for about 6 days as of this airing. So what, we're cool with just propping people up as long as they say something that's injectable into the mainstream? I hesitated to write newsworthy right there because news feels so unbelievably diluted in this day and age. You've got the left-wing outlets always condemning Trump for everything he does, and then the right-wing outlets come in and they're just wondering why the left condemns him. We're delving too deep into the, quote, can you believe this mindset rather than discussing the straightforward of what is going on. Conversations, I think, are occurring, but they're being born out of stubbornness. Like the border wall battle and the partial government shutdown in week 3 as of this recording. It's the second longest government shutdown in U.S. history. I don't see the clarity I once saw. Everything just seems like one big internet shit post at this point. So what is this that's swirling around the world right now? At the beginning of every year, we watch the ball drop, we hit the reset button, and we embark on a fresh new year full of possibilities and promise. But even though we're restarting, we seem to have a lot of trouble getting started. Honestly, it feels like as this news cycle just gets faster and faster, each new year becomes harder and harder to decipher. This news cycle, in just the new year, has brought us these damning allegations against people like R. Kelly or Kevin Spacey, who respectively posted a sex tape online against one of his accusers and smiled while in court for groping a teenager. You've got Ellen DeGeneres being screamed at for not being, well, I'm not really sure, a good gay person because she defended Kevin Hart's 10-year-old jokes about gay people? I don't know. You've got President Trump rallying against fake news. Oh wait, that's not too out of the ordinary, is it? I put enough of his tweets on air to comfortably say that. Still, there's now a debate over whether or not it's cool to call a president a motherfucker. It's one big cluster fuck. There's a lot of things going on that seem very upside down and inside out, things that make very little sense even when all the fruit has been shaken off the tree. Maybe it's just as simple as that. We're just having a hard time getting going, finding our place, wondering what's going on. Maybe too many people laid out what they want for 2019 and are trying to force it all in too quickly. If you listen to the Ginescast number 33, Zero Expectations, you know that I'm trying really hard to not do what I perceive others are doing. I'm just trying to fly blind a little bit, and honestly, things have been surprisingly interesting because of that. But while it's probably a good thing to not expect too much, I know that I have to stay grounded in reality at the same time. And now I'm starting to see this quote-unquote terribleness that people on Twitter keep telling me we're constantly living in. Is there a border crisis? Yes. A race crisis? Yes. A wage disparity crisis? Yes. An opioid crisis? Yes. A crisis between the sexes? Yeah. Basically, we're living in one big crisis, and everyone's takeaway of what that means is, at this point, anyone's guess. I'm trying to at least acknowledge that the bad exists instead of living in it or outright denying it. And I think that there's at least something to be said about that. I don't see too many people wandering around these days in La La Land, their heads stuck in the clouds, completely ignorant of anything that's going on in the world. Some days, I wish I was like that. There is ignorance out there, that's for damn sure, but at least people are paying attention. That was my first thought when I saw literally everyone I was friends with on Facebook having meltdowns over the 2016 presidential election. I was like, all right, everybody, calm down, deep breath, and just pay attention. Because the more people pay attention, the less likely it is people will get away with things. Remember that good old year of accountability in 2018? I think it's starting to make the rounds again this year. Maybe we were a year too late. I'm not sure yet. In a world where the loudest among us get the most airtime and those devoid of an actual personality are propped up because they look nice, I think it's fair to say that a lot of the time, people are kind of just unsure of how they're feeling. It's why we're using reaction GIFs instead of writing something out on Twitter. We see these people. They're propped up on social media. They seem so put together and happy. You can't go one day without the Daily Mail talking about some beautiful, thin, in shape, wonderfully affluent Australian social media influencer who has 200,000 people following him or her. It just is a thing these days. If you haven't seen it now, you will see it, and I'm sorry for putting it out there. These people have quote-unquote made it because they've got people who pay attention to them. So if it worked for them, I mean, it's gotta work for me if I do the exact same thing, right? They got the attention, so it's obviously good, right? Well, obviously not. But an impressionable mind will see something as popular and automatically equate it to being good. And I used to be annoyed by people who kind of glommed onto things that I consider nonsense, but I don't really get upset by that anymore. Because in this day and age, I can't necessarily blame people for being unclear about what they want to say, what they're outraged about, or how deep their information bank goes, or what they're even feeling. We're fed a lot of information, but we don't really savor the substance. And I do hope that changes. But it's also just no good to keep bypassing this phenomenon. Instead, I would encourage people to kind of just sit down and actually analyze how they feel about certain subjects. And it really helps to have a good friend or a close person to do this with. And it's even better if you find that you run into conflict over it. Why you'd want people to agree with every little thing you say is beyond me, but there you go. We're all different, I guess. We are in the relatability market lately. Everything is a mood or a vibe or it hits you in the feels. This doesn't really bother me because I do enjoy feeling everything, even when that means that I'm bawling my eyes out in front of the bathroom mirror while trying to brush my teeth before bed. Feeling a thing is just a means to experience something so you can move on from it. Because we're constantly moving forward with no signs of stopping. You feel a thing, you absorb how it feels, and then you continue your life. It's as simple as that. But there's a lot of people out there who kind of want to capitalize on your feels. And if you can do that, you can make things pretty comfortable for yourself. But I do believe that there is a point of too much relatability. You can hit people in the feels too much to the point where you either take advantage of them or they run fleeing, screaming away from you. I see a lot of nostalgia happening these days. People trying to relive certain aspects and certain feels that we once had when we experienced the magic for the first time. It's being peddled towards products that I think in a weird way, are after our information. Just look at Macaulay Culkin recently trying to sell Google Home in the style of Home Alone.
Hey Google, what's on my calendar today?
You have one event called House to Yourself.
Oh, yeah. Hey Google, add aftershave to my shopping list. Hey Google, remind me to clean these sheets later.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Too bad AC.
Someone's at the front door.
What do I owe you?
Looks like you paid online.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Okay.
What do they want to know? Why do these companies need my information? What is AI gonna do? Why does everyone need to know everything? Isn't it more fun if some things were left mysterious? Maybe not every single thought or feeling that goes through your head has to be shared with everyone and everything you come in contact with. I know that is incredibly contradictory to this podcast you're listening to right now, but welcome to the inside of my head at any given moment. I always believe, and I will always believe this, that there is more good than bad in this world. I just think that the good is covered up a lot of the time, or it isn't really made clear to a wide-scale audience, because in the old news industry, what's that phrase again? If it bleeds, it leads. That's me believing that I'm an optimist, even though oddly the people I'm closest to don't see me that way. But I'm always going to see the glass as half full. I'm doing my best right now to stay realistically positive. But if we were to take a snapshot on what society's temperature looks like, and we based it purely on the most liked and retweeted things on Twitter, I think we would have a world where there's nothing but moments of pure terror, dread, and disgust at our politics, punctuated by silly little shitposts designed to make you forget about it all. And sometimes we do need to forget. We don't really have to tie everything up in a nice little bow, putting a nice little title on it. Sometimes things are just existing and they hang in the air, and we have to just acknowledge them and move on with what we have to do, what we need to do. There's a difference between wanting to do something, wanting to be something, and needing something in order to move you through the day. Hopefully the thing that you need is not something that is, harmful to your body or to people around you. I don't know. I'm sure you've noticed that I don't really have a title for this cast because I have absolutely no idea where I was going with it or how I was even going to present it to you. All I know is that there's a lot of things going on all the time. It's very difficult. I work on a 3-hour show and we can't fit everything in. Life right now seems like one big clusterfuck. But I come to you and say that with a smile on my face. At this point, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think sometimes things are born out of chaos, but it doesn't mean that cycle of chaotic behavior ever has to continue. Be the thing that breaks that cycle. Know you can rise above the clusterfuck. Because if you want to, if you make it your goal to move past it, to overcome any hurdle that you see in your way, you will get there. We're only a week into 2019, and if this is how I feel, I don't know how the rest of it's going to go. But the eternal optimist in me is always going to say, it has to get worse before it gets better. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. I didn't hear any pigeons, did you? I like these better when I sit down and have a kind of newsy vibe to it. Like I really enjoyed the psychology behind female teachers one I did because I was kind of able to incorporate video and thoughts or sound bites as the layman may hear. So I want to put that idea in my head and maybe we can do more of those going forward. I did enjoy them. I want to know if you enjoyed them. And, but in general, it's just important to me to get this out on a weekly basis. It's important that you hear what I have to say, and it's important that I hear what I have to say, So I'm having fun on the journey to figuring it all out, and I hope you will stick with me. The Ginescast comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like this video, please give it a like, please leave a comment below, or share it with someone you think would like it. If you want more from me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HelloGines or shoot me an email at gina.annunziato@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina Annunziato, and I'll see you next time. Take care.